Shohit Matangani Hazra Government College for Women. Please, sir.
Hello, good afternoon. A very good afternoon to my respected chairperson, my fellow co-presenters this afternoon, and the organizers of this international webinar. First of all, I would thank the organizers for giving us an opportunity to listen to esteemed resource persons and presenters speak on various aspects of this webinar entitled State of Democracy in Asia, Experiences and Expectations. And the title of my paper for today's webinar is Trust with Democracy, a COVID-19 Experience. Now, there is nothing new about the fact today that this COVID-19 experience has engulfed our lives over these past few months in an unforeseen way. And the spread of this disease is changing as to how we lead our lives and how our political leaders at the local, national, and global arena will take decisions to respond to this crisis. Governments around the world has assembled emergency powers to respond to this crisis in various ways. And it is here that the test of democracy lies, according to me. Will this pandemic destroy the democratic ethos and polity? Or will it be like that in the post-COVID times? We will be seeing a democratic government, the presence of a democratic government with undemocratic function. Now, to understand in a very limited time, I would just like to highlight a few issues according to my observation as to how democratic governance is facing a crisis and what are the expectations, the challenges that a democratic institution will be facing in this time. There are two aspects, I presume, that requires analysis by us, the academicians, everywhere. The first aspect is that this COVID-19 pandemic has brought about, affected the social, the economic aspects of the individuals in a variety of ways. But most importantly, I presume, it has affected our relationship with democracy. What has it essentially done? It has actually exposed the strengths and weaknesses of the political systems across the world regarding the healthcare systems, the other basic infrastructure, the capacity of a political system for crisis management, and information integrity. Now, if that is in question, therefore, these are amply important issues which can erode citizens' trust in democracy. Now, when we are looking up to a system to address this crisis at an institutional level, can the democratic structure address this issue? Is it capable of doing that? And herein lies the basic question: do a democratically elected government have the expertise to deal with it? Have we ever in a democratic system laid emphasis on expertise in our governance? In such a trying times, in such a crisis times, we look for expertise in dealing with a crisis. And more so, again, we are questioning the very ethos of a democracy. Whether the liberty, the freedom that a democratic structure offers, is it so much necessary now? Or are we secretly hoping that there will be an autocratically, or not really autocratic, authority that can address the issue, if necessary, be strict and stringent, but even then help us come out of this crisis? And herein there is a danger that anti-democratic forces may come into force. It may become prominent in the coming times, in the coming days of this, during this pandemic. And the next aspect which I would like to harp on is the electoral aspect, which is so much an integral part of any democratic structure throughout the world. Now, how will this pandemic affect the electoral process? I presume there will be three aspects where it will be affected. One is there will be a delay in elections. There is a delay in everything we are seeing. So elections cannot be held presumably in the given time. So there will be chances that election will be delayed. It is not only a question of time, it is also a question, if it is deferred, then who votes, how they vote, all which will have an impact on the democratic fabric. The next important thing is that person to person contact is minimum now. We are trying to do away with this, and therefore technology dependency has come in. In the coming days, will it be like that, that we will depend upon technology to cast our votes, to work out the other formalities of the election process, and the countries with less amount of technological efficiency will definitely face a problem, and there will be chances of number of malpractices when this technology based election process comes in, again therefore threatening the very fabric of a democratic structure. And last but not the least, the question of political engagement. There is an unusual imposition of restrictions on free movement and social gatherings now. It is necessary, definitely, to lessen the crisis, but the delicate balance between government and civil society will be destroyed, rather temporarily destroyed in this process. Therefore, the government will enhance its powers, and therefore it will be a delicate balance. It is necessary for the government to assume more power to deal with this crisis. But there's a thin line whether the human rights will be violated, whether that will be the practice in the coming days. So all that needs to be addressed, and alert. People will have to, citizens will have to be alert. Now, is it again all so negative? Probably not. On the positive note, I would like to end that this crisis may help restore the value of competence and honesty in a democratic politics. Fighting a pandemic is very different from fighting a political adversary. It is more about ability, it is more about leadership, and voters will now have an opportunity to discover leaders at the national and the local level who can restore their faith that good governance is possible. Therefore, democracy needs to establish a more unified front against anti-democratic adversaries, and it is also an opportunity to strengthen community resilience in these trying times. Thank you, and all of you stay safe, stay well.
Thank you, Piku Das Gupta, for her wonderful presentation, ma'am. And this will be our last paper presenter. And over to Abuzar Ali Khan, our